Welcome back to At Home. We're back here with Lise Janelle, and we're just talking about relationships, especially between that struggle of balance in your life between work and family. And you know, we're thinking about how people have so many stressors at work alone, and then they bring them home, all of those with them. And if that keeps happening, that is going to put a huge strain on the family life, right?
What I find, there are three ways we can live our life. You can be passive, aggressive, or assertive. Whenever you're passive in one area of your life, you say yes, 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 when you also want to say no, but you still keep saying yes. Somewhere in your life, you're going to have to be aggressive. You're going to unload the stress somewhere.
Right.
So the key is to learn to be assertive, and you can only be assertive, which means respecting the self and the other when you have good self-esteem. So you must put value on yourself and be able to say no when it's time to say no, so that when you get home, you're not stressed. And it's important for people to realize that you cannot cheat. If you have more stress at work somewhere, if you suppress it at home, then often it will go against you and your own body. Your health will suffer. You cannot suppress stress. So learning to be assertive, learning to stick by your values. If you want to work 8 hours a day and then you're in a position where you have to work 11, 12 hours a day, then you need to really question why you're doing it, how long can you do it for, because otherwise that stress is going to come somewhere else in your life.
It's kind of easy to get in the grind too, right, where you just keep doing it day in, day out, and then it's almost like you need to step back and say, you know what, I got to reevaluate this. Either, you know, I have to say to my boss that I can't do these hours anymore, or change has to be made, or you actually try to find a new position, try to find a new job. And sometimes people don't want to think of that possibility of searching for a new career or a new position, but it can make a life change for you.
You become younger again.
Yes.
When a teacher of mine says, when you're green, you grow. When you're green, you grow. When you're ripe, you rot.
Oh, that's good. That's perfect.
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's good.
So starting all over again makes you think differently, gets you to be more creative, brings new passion, new energy. And when you can see, when you go into a place where people have been there for a long time, they're just going there for the paycheck, the energy just drops.
Yes.
There's no joy, there's no fun anymore. You can't cheat the system. It's either you align yourself and your values, and you can live a fulfilling life, or you'll create strife, either at work, with your relationship, or within your health. Often people come to see, my background was a holistic chiropractor, and people would come to see me sick, stressed out, their body, you know, breaking apart. And the reason would be that they were working too hard. And then they had to stop because of that. They had to reevaluate what they were doing. Lawyers, people in the marketing industry, people who work very, very long hours, then had to reevaluate, why am I doing this? And often it was because of fear that they were not good enough, so they had to prove to somebody they were good enough. So once they realized, I'm good enough, I don't need to live this way, they would leave the system, but then somebody else who didn't know the lesson yet would come over, because there's no lack of people needing to learn the lesson.
It's probably hard to find personal balance too, because you need that as well. You need that balance, of course, with work and family, but also your own personal balance. And if you don't have that, then, I mean, you can't get any of it, right?
To have a fulfilling relationship with anybody else, you need to first have a relationship with the self. And we have only 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week. And there are about 8 areas where you can spend your time. One is familial, career, financial, social, mental, physical, spiritual, and also the home and your car, like the environment that you're in. Those all take time for us to be able to function. And if you put too much time in one area of your life that disconnects you from the other that are important for you, then you don't feel fulfilled.
So as a life coach, I would assume that a lot of the people who come to see you are looking for that balance and they can't find it. So how do you guide them to find that proper balance?
I help them find their core values. What's important for them. Not what society tells them, not what their mom or dad or their spouse tells them, but what they know for them is important. And help them create their work around that, their work, their life, their balance, so that they can live by their values.
So what is it that we're doing differently here in North America than, say, for example, as you say, in France or some of the European countries, in South America, wherever it may be? How is it that they have time, or their pace is different than ours?
Because we're putting more value on financial achievements, I believe, here, and career status. Those two things make people want to strive to have more things. But I think when you get around 40, 50, you start to realize that things don't do it. And if you just keep accumulating things, you know, people buy garages to put their stuff in it, and they're like, it's a never-ending battle of keeping the right stuff, giving away the stuff, and just working for stuff when you don't have the fulfillment inside.
It's kind of a hollow victory, really, right? I agree. I think as you get older, you start to get more of a sense of what's really important in your life. When you're younger and you're trying to establish yourself and you're doing all those things to get there, and then all of a sudden you may get to a certain point, it's like, well, yeah, this is okay, but what else is there? And that's when you start really looking at the important things, like your personal life, your family life, right?
I think at first often it's driven by a lack of self-worth, self-esteem, needing the outside to tell us who we are. And then after you lived a few years, you start to realize, hey, I'm somebody, I have my values, I'm a pretty good person, I don't need these things now to prove myself.
And that comes with experience and in maturity as well, right? Mm-hmm. So I think in your 20s, you're striving to get money because you're broke. You finally get it, so you're like, in your 30s, you're like, wow, and you're just spending everything. And then, as you say, all of a sudden you look at your family and you look at your friends and you're like, you know what, this is more important than the money.
And also often what happens is people around us die. That's the beauty of death. It makes us question what's important in life.
Yeah, and quite often I'm sure that people who come to see you have had maybe a moment in their lives that have really made them kind of take notice, because again, you realize that you're only here for a while.
That's actually my journey also. When I was 28 years old, my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer, was given 9 months to live, but 3 weeks later my brother died.
Wow.
Oh, gosh.
And then that's when you realize that, we have this idea that every day I'm going to get up, I'm going to live until I'm 80, 90, 100 years old, but that's not the way life goes. And then I started to question, say, how do I live my life to the fullest, where it has meaning? So when my time comes, which I don't know when it's going to be, I feel like I have lived well.